might as well get this all out. I want it all gone because it's old. We get some people in the room. Let's get some people in the room. All right, let's get some people in the room. So this is a recap. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife sued Candance Owens for defamation in U.S. court over claims that the French lady was born a male. Owens has repeatedly claimed on her platform that Miss Macron was born biologically male under the name Jean Michael Trevaux. The Macrons filed a joint defamation lawsuit against Owens in July in the state of Delaware, seeking unspecified punitive damages and a jury trial. They allege Owens expanded baseless conspiracy theories globally, resulting in a campaign of extreme humiliation and harassment. Owens has refused to retract her statements and has filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, arguing that a foreign leader cannot use the American legal system to restrict her First Amendment right to free speech. Damn. Oh, okay. While Owens faces the U.S. lawsuit, French courts previously convicted 10 individuals for cyberbullying Ms. Macron over the same rumors. There have been rumors out there that she was born biologically a male. I don't see what the big deal is. Either you're a man or you're not. Shit, what's the big deal? Candace Owens reacts to French conviction of Bridget Macron harassers as defamation case lose. So there were 10 other people in France that were saying the same thing. Hey, Monica, that that Bridget Macron is transgender, was biologically a male. Her claims that Bridget is actually a man, a Paris criminal court conviction convicted 10 French individuals for cyberbullying the first lady over similar claims. Once again, the headlines are written in a way to deceive the public into believing that Brigitte proved she was a woman, which she never had. Right, right, Kratos. Um, Consider the fact that this man statutorily, oh shoot, raped a student and is today securing convictions for cyberbullying against people for discussing his dark past. So she used to be Macron's teacher and had an affair with him when he was in high school. He ended up marrying her because she's 15 years his senior. So Candace goes on to say that Brigitte is dangerous, that he wakes up every day, puts on a fake wig, cause that shit do look like a wig on her head. You have to know that, cause she is not a cute female at all. Puts on a fake wig, lipstick, and mascara, and declares war on those who know his true identity is nothing short of psycho, psychopath. This is what Candance said. The French court sentenced most of the defendants, some of whom had shared posts by Owens, to jail terms for degrading, insulting, and malicious comments against the First Lady. But they lived in France. Some of the defendants had claimed that posts about Macron were made in jest. Others claimed they were participating in a legitimate debate. Bridget Macron's daughter from a previous marriage testified to the toll the rumors and discourse had on her mother and their family. In a separate post, Candace Owens responded to the users suggesting an impeding crackdown on free speech in the U.S. This is the entire purpose of the lawsuit against me. Independent media has made it a struggle for the deep state to stop the public from learning about the evil they partake in. They now want speech restricted in the United States because we are the last to stand against them. Now, I got to agree with her. That's a fact. That is a fact. America has to fight this repression tooth and nail. These psychopaths cannot win, Candace said. The relationship between Emmanuel and Macron. Oh, there's a 24 age. Oh, I was wrong. Oh, I had to recant that. So it's a 24-year age gap between them. The two met while Emmanuel Macron attended a Jesuit high school in Amiens where Bridget was his teacher. Well, I got that right. 8 men and 2 women aged 41 and 65 were accused of falsely claiming that Bridget was a man and linking the age gap to alleged pedophilia through posts made online. Tens of thousands of times, said the presiding judge Tyree Donald described the claims on First Lady's alleged PDF file as malicious, degrading, insulting, and intentionally harming the complaint. Well, if she 24 years and his teacher, come on now. Come on now. One of the 10 defendants, 8 were given suspended sentences of between 4 to 8 months, while a ninth was sentenced to 6 months in jail for not attending the hearing. 3 individuals described as key instigators were also ordered to have their social media accounts suspended for 6 months. All were ordered to attend an online course on hate speech and to collectively pay Bridget 10,000 francs or around 12,000 for moral damages. Hey, Diaphragm, how you doing? Jean Inash, a lawyer for Bridget, said Monday that the court's ruling makes sense to recognize the First Lady's harassment. The most important things are the prevention courses and suspension of some of the accounts. The First Lady herself did not attend the 2-day trial, but went on French television uh, ahead of the court ruling, saying her harassers had repeatedly ignored evidence proving that she was a woman and using her case to highlight the perils of cyberbullying while she advocated against. I want to help teenagers fight against bullying, and if I do not set an example, it will be difficult. All right, let's get into the last of these things because I want to get this out my Okay, here we go. Here we go.
The court battle over a conspiracy theory that claims Brigitte Macron is a man. I'm Hugh Whitfeld. Welcome to The World. In this episode, the French president and his wife suing conservative podcaster Candance Owens for claims like this.
I stumbled upon quite a pretty big situation that has been going on in France, in that it has gotten so big that, yes, Macron has been tasked now with going out to the public and trying to dissuade them from
Give me my
believing
credit card.
that his wife, Brigitte
They ain't not
Macron,
knowing it, but
was
you're not supposed to
actually
keep
born
it.
a man.
Candance Owens has been making the allegations for more than a year on X posts. Things like Brigitte Macron was born a man. Brigitte Macron was born Jean-Michel Tourneau. He lived as a man for about 30 years before transitioning, accusing Brigitte of rape. And, quote, I would stake my entire professional reputation on the fact Brigitte Macron is in fact a man. Well, now, whatever reputation that is going to be tested. The French president and first lady have launched a defamation lawsuit in the US state.
Give it here.
They've clearly had enough of years of conspiracy theories on the edge of the internet and French society that have almost been mainstreamed by Owens. We'll hear from the Macron's lawyer in a moment, but first, here's more of Candance Owens. This was 3 years of hard work. And what they determined was that Brigitte Macron did not exist for the first 30 years of her life. Listen to what I'm saying to you.
Wow.
That this human being existed for 30
Wow.
years. It's a very easy thing to debunk, guys. Okay? A very easy thing to debunk. If somebody came at me and said, Candance Owens, you did not exist for the first 30 years, I'd be like, what are you crazy? Here's my high school yearbook. Here's my middle school yearbook. Here's me
And they ain't got no pictures.
outside with too thin
No
eyebrows
pictures.
because that was the style when I was in high school. Here's me, a picture of me cheerleading. Here's me when I played the flute for 6 months. Here's me at my sister's. It's such a nonsense. Such a nonsense that I would instead send out people to call it crazy without giving them 30 years worth of proof to debunk it. Let's not forget, Brigitte Macron also has 3 kids. I can show you photos of me pregnant. Oh, here's me in the hospital when we had our first child. They're not doing any of that. And today, I have been sued by the first lady man of France. And I gotta tell you, it is getting more intense out there.
Hell no, she said lady man of France. Hell no, she said lady man of France. You can't make this shit up.
Actually, it's even going international. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, I'm pretty sure him and his husband Brigitte are going to come for my life. Candance Owens is a 36-year-old who dropped out of journalism at university, but now has just shy of 4.5 million subscribers on YouTube, nearly 7 million followers on X. She previously worked for conservative groups and outlets like Turning Point and Daily Wire. Some of her previous rumours and theories have focused on COVID vaccines, the Holocaust, and the moon landings. But in recent times, she has really latched on to the Macrons and the rumours and innuendo about their relationship and past, creating an 8-part YouTube series and podcast called Becoming Brigitte, where she outlined her theories on the French First Lady. Owens has also claimed Macron was chosen to be president by a CIA mind control program. The Macrons have always been somewhat of a curiosity at the very least. He was a 15-year-old student. She was his 39-year-old teacher when they met. Her daughter was in Emmanuel's class. Monsieur Macron rising to become French president at the age of 39. And now they're hitting back in the courts. Their attorney, Tom Clare, spoke to CNN.
Well, this was really a last resort. We have attempted to engage with her for the last year, putting evidence in front of her, request after request after request, that she just simply do the right thing. This is not a legal thing. Do the right thing, tell the truth, stop spreading these lies. And each time we've done that, she mocked the Macrons. She mocked our efforts to set the record straight. She refused to retract what she had said. She started a merch campaign. She's selling T-shirts mocking and celebrating her defamation. And enough is enough. It was time for her to hold her accountable for this campaign.
Tom Clare specialises in defamation cases and represented Dominion Voting Systems when the company sued Fox News over claims it was involved in the transfer of votes from Biden to Trump in the 2020 election. In that case, Fox settled for $787 million US.
Yes, they did.
Here's Clare again reacting to Candance Owens' response.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank her for that reaction to the lawsuit. She's only helping us with our claim for punitive damages by expressing no remorse and obviously doubling down on these falsehoods. But I don't think she's going to feel the same way about this being a public relations stunt after her deposition and after she has to sit for trial. So
In a statement from their lawyers, the Macrons say Owens' campaign of defamation was plainly designed to harass and cause pain to us and our families and to garner attention and notoriety.
Yeah, we have laid out extensive evidence in our complaint demonstrating that she was born a woman, she's always been a woman, and the allegations of a control conspiracy and the incest and all the other things are demonstrably false. Putting aside the fact that they are all inherently implausible, what you said at the outset is obviously really important. In our system, if you're making an inherently implausible allegation, the standard is higher. You have to come forward with better evidence if you're going to say it. She has none of it. All she's done is mocked them and ridiculed them and repeated it.
Now, there is little doubt that Macron's life is not without controversy. There was that incident on a plane where Brigitte appeared to shove her husband in the face.
There you go. There go the slap.
Back in May. Adding to the intrigue, last September, 2 women were convicted in France for spreading false claims after they alleged Brigitte is Jean-Michel Trudeau, which is actually her brother's name. Those convictions, though, were overturned on appeal. Macron is now appealing that to France's highest appeals court. In the Candace Owens case, it's reported the Macrons are willing to appear in a Delaware court, expecting the case to go to trial.
Wow.
Okay, let's dive into 5 other big stories we're following right now.
Wow. I wonder, you know what? I got to see what happened with that. Oh, shit. I'm gonna look this up after I do these videos. This is Lady Boulay. I like her.
Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love anybody who makes it her profession to go after other people and tear other people down cannot be a very happy camper. Now, what she is claiming is that the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, is transgender. Now, you know how she does it. She goes and digs into everybody's background and she gives a convincing tale about whatever it is she's trying to make people believe. But she has no way of knowing that for certain. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what difference does it make to Candace Owens if the president of France is married to a transgender person?
I
She's not a
agree.
French citizen.
I
She doesn't
agree.
have anything to do with France or the governing of France. So what difference does it make to her what the woman is? And it's just a shame that she goes about trying to embarrass people and tearing people down. And I know she's making good money for it, but it's not good money. It's dirty money. It's dirty money and it's dirty business tearing people down. Now, I don't know what this woman is. I don't know. But if it's good enough for her husband, it's good enough for me. But anyway, Candace Owens is being sued by the President and First Lady of France. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte Macron have filed a defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens over the far-right influencers' relentless and unjustified smear campaign, falsely accusing Brigitte of being born a man. The 219-page defamation complaint filed in Delaware State Court Wednesday accuses Owens of proliferating demonstrably false claims across her platforms, including in an 8-part podcast on social media designed to feed a frenzied fan base in pursuit of fame. These lies have caused tremendous damage to the Macrons, according to the Macrons lawsuit, which names Owens as well as her business entities which are incorporated in Delaware. I'm sure they have caused tremendous damage and pain and embarrassment.
What pain?
The false
Everybody think
subjected
you a
the
man. Think
Macrons
she a man.
to a campaign of global humiliation, turning their lives into fodder for profit-driven lies, the complaint says.
Owens has dissected their appearance, their marriage, their friends, their family, and their personal history, twisting it all into a grotesque narrative to inflame and degrade. The complaint alleges. The result is relentless bullying on a worldwide scale. Every time the Macrons leave their home, they do so knowing that countless people have heard and many believe these vile fabrications. It is invasive,
It's been out.
dehumanizing,
It's been out.
deeply unjust. Now, I agree with every bit of that. I really do. It is dehumanizing and it's unjust. And Mrs. Macron is the First Lady of France, not the United States or the UK. If the people of France don't have a problem with her, and some might, but they elected him president knowing what his domestic situation was. So they wanted him to be their president and elected him a second time. This is not his first term. But Candace Owens goes after people, and she has her little documents and so-called evidence, and she speaks with the authority of a person who really knows what they're talking about. But she comes across as unhinged to me. And I had said I was going to stop doing videos about her, but this is something that I have been waiting for. I have been expecting this, and I think it's well deserved. I don't know how it comes out, but you go up against the government, it's a good chance you'll lose. And then after suing her, I hope they demand monetary compensation from her, because I believe she's doing all of this for money, but also some kind of twisted ego.
They did request monetary damages. Once this is done, I'm going to see what's the outcome.
A desire to drag other people down. That's what I see in her. A desire to drag other people down. And Michelle Obama was subjected to this same kind of humiliation, that she was born a man. And then they have pictures of her in elementary school with her elementary school teachers talking about her, and all over high school and college. But yet and still, that's what I'm going to say on behalf of the in the media. And this is how Candace Owens is choosing to respond to it. You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood. Figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey, how about just giving us some pictures again of you growing up, raising your children? That would be fine. For whatever reason to phone, by the way, like I said, we'll get to the bottom of it. Right, that is what Discovery is for. I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
I'm live. Okay. All right.
Hoping, this will go away, and at least we'll say we sued her. We'll say we went after her. She'll probably file for this to get dismissed. I'd like to make it to Discovery. I think that we owe that to the world. Anyways, you guys, we are revolting against this. We're revolting against the perverts that run the world. And I want to be very clear here. I count you among them. I think you're sick. I think you're disgusting. And I am fully prepared to take on this battle on behalf of the entire world. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. On behalf of the entire world, I will see you in court. Bridget Macron has...
Well, that's what she said. See you in court.
Emmanuel Macron just made a fatal mistake. The French president has now filed a 22-count defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens in a Delaware court.
Hey, therapy.
She claimed Brigitte Macron was born a man, and that the power couple are CIA operatives engaged in fraud. But here's where it gets wild. Video has now resurfaced from Vietnam showing Brigitte allegedly slapping Macron across the face on the tarmac. The French First Lady says she's traumatized by Owens' investigation into her past. They're suing in American courts because they want our First Amendment protections destroyed. This is not about defamation. It's about silencing anyone who questions the global elite. The Macrons just opened Pandora's box, and Discovery is going to be explosive. Well, Macron melts down over free speech. There is something destroying men's vitality worldwide. The American healthcare system is broken.
Let me get past that.
Okay, so here is the big news. Big news day.
This way she slapped him.
French President Emmanuel Macron.
There go the slap.
And his wife, Brigitte, have filed a U.S. defamation lawsuit against far-right, this is Republicans against Trump, far-right conspiracy theorists, they say, and podcaster Candance Owens, who claimed that France's First Lady is, in fact, a man. A 218-page lawsuit filed in Delaware on Wednesday accuses Owens of pushing outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched
facts therapy.
Chief among them that Brigitte Macron was born male under the name Jean-Michel
Trudeau.
I know Candance has been covering this for quite a while. She's done extensive research. Even got a phone call from the president about it. We're going to get to that. 6 hours ago, Veritas Daily, Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron filed 22-count defamation lawsuit in Delaware against U.S. commentator Candance Owens over explosive claims that Brigitte was born a man and that the couple are CIA operatives, blood relatives involved in incest, fraud, and more. They allege she mocked them and ignored retraction requests to boost her platform. Owens says it's a foreign government attack.
Right, therapy.
Amendment.
Facts
let's
therapy.
Find out exactly here. This is Candance Owens. This is back in March of last year.
It took me a long time. Everybody should be aware that this is happening. What is happening in France is definitively the craziest political scandal in human history. With the exception of political assassinations, there's nothing bigger, and I can't believe I'm just hearing about it. And it took me a long time to unpack it because I had to basically download information and then transfer it over and translate it over from French to English. So this is wild. Emmanuel Macron is the current president of France. For the last 4 years, longer than 4 years, I think he became president in 2017, journalists keep saying that they can't find a single trace of his wife, Brigitte Macron, before
Well, the oldest daughter, she removed their last name, so that was it. Oh, shit.
Age of 30. Despite the fact that Brigitte Macron has 3 children, not with Emmanuel Macron. If you remember, they're a very weird couple off the bat. She is at least 26 years older than him.
Facts.
The love story is borderline pedophilic, depending on who you're listening to. He was 14 and he was a drama student, and she was his 26-year-older drama teacher. And so there's already, that's very weird. And then she allegedly left her husband and 3 kids to go be with Emmanuel Macron.
Yes, she did.
Strange. Well, even stranger is the fact that a group of journalists teamed up with genealogists to look into this matter, and they produced these documents, and they're alleging that Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte Macron, for the first 30 years of her life, actually was Jean-Michel. And basically, she was trying to pass this Jean-Michel character off as her brother, but it's clearly, I'm telling you, I looked at all the evidence. I'm going to link it. Watch today's episode. I'll show you the pictures. It is very clearly her, okay? She transitioned at the age of 30 and then started living life as a woman, and they have been completely trying to bury this in the media. When I say it is so easy, if someone steps to me and is like, Candance, you're a man. You lived as a man for 30 years. There's no pictures of you from your childhood. 30 years of living, saying you had 3 kids, they could very easily debunk this. All they would have to do is show pictures of the First Lady growing up. Everybody should be aware that this is happening, what is happening in France.
Candance Owens. Yeah.
You can't make this up. And this is old news, but I'm going to go ahead and see what actually happened.
But I just want to get to the lawsuit. So, like,
now this is Tucker Carlson.
They're suing you for defamation.
For things that I never said, which is right. They know that this lawsuit, this is why I called it a PR strategy. This lawsuit was filed for the press, right? Because she just lost her defamation case against 2 journalists in France. And now everyone was reporting, wait, you said that this was the big case that proved, or you presented it as if you were suing them on this claim of you being a man or a woman. And now you've lost that in France. This is your home territory. What's going on? And so I think she called the lawyers and were like, just file a lawsuit, because it's very sloppy. The points run into one another. Like, first they argue that I'm doing it for money. Then they make the argument that I was fired for speaking about it. So that doesn't make any sense. It can't be both. And it's a bunch of stuff that I didn't say. They're behaving like mainstream journalists, where they'll take a couple of words that I said, like gangster, criminal and gangster, but then they add their own sentence to it. And they're like, she accused her of being a criminal and a gangster. So it's very sloppy. And what they're doing is they're just biding their time. They don't want the world to look, which this was a very bad mistake, a very bad way to go about it, but they want the world to believe that she has a claim against me, that well, we're suing, therefore, because this podcaster lied. But it's way too late. I mean, it truly, it's everyone is aware of what's happened. This only made the series go viral. Now it's going viral in Asia. I'm getting all of these emails from people in China saying this series is going viral. They're not even on YouTube, so I don't know how they're watching it in China. But it was a mistake, because obviously now people are going, okay, something must be true. A president of a foreign country does not sue a mom that does her podcast in her basement because she spoke something that was not true. Like, there's
now that's a fact. That's a fact.
Taking a closer look at the series.
Yeah, that's not the way to hide things.
Right.
The way to hide things is say, poor Candace, nice woman, obviously mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to do it, and sophisticated liars do that.
Right.
So it is interesting. They're responding in a way that clearly is driven by emotion,
right,
and fear. That's my read. I don't really know why they're responding, of course, but looking at it it's so interesting.
And there is something also that the way that they're going about this, going after the journalists, thinking that America is the same sort of a beast as France is, and that, well, we have said that you can't ask us any questions, we'll sue you for cyberbullying. There is something, cyberbullying, whatever the claims are here, but there is something about it where once you really arrive at a truth, what I find the reaction is, for the people that are incensed by the fact that you're presenting that truth, is I'll impoverish you.
Yeah.
And I've seen this over and over again. It's like, okay, she told the truth, but our response to that is going to be demands that she get fired, right? She should lose her livelihood for speaking the truth. She should lose, and that's why Jake Tapper, I don't know if you've seen it, you probably haven't because it's Jake Tapper, but he sits down with Tom Clare, who was a lawyer on this case, and Jake Tapper is doing the absolute most to make this just the easiest interview for Tom Clare. He's sitting across from him, and he's like, she's deranged, and she's crazy, and she's a conspiracy theorist. So much so.
Jake Tapper said that.
Jake Tapper, but so much so that people in the comments were like, I want to watch the series. His own viewers thought this was just so over the top. But then he turns to Tom Clare and he asks him like a basic question. He's like, what evidence did you present to her that Brigitte's a man? And Tom Clare can't answer the question. He's like, you can read the claims. It's extensive. And, we told her that she was a woman. They never presented any evidence. We went to them before we published the series. We were in touch with Tom Clare, Clare and Locke. We sent them a list of questions. We said, look, we won't even do this series if you answer these basic circle yes or no questions. Was Brigitte Macron, the first lady, born a woman? That basic of questions. Did she ever live as a person named Veronique? Before the transition, temporarily, Brigitte lived as a person named Veronique. They refused to answer these yes or no questions. Obviously, if you're going to prove actual malice, you have to present to the court, which is it's obviously a very high bar that's been set, which I don't necessarily even agree with that bar, by the way, New York Times versus Sullivan set. But obviously, you have to prove that I acted. I knew the truth, and I acted.
That's exactly right.
I was desperate to get to the truth and said I would stop doing this series. We also offered for me to get on a plane and fly to France to interview, to get Brigitte's side of this. I want to make sure I'm not colored by having read Becoming Brigitte and reading the series. There could be another side. And it was essentially a big F you, and said, Tom Clare comes back. She doesn't have to answer your questions. She doesn't have to prove to you.
So
okay.
They retained Tom Clare and Libby Locke then, or Tom Clare. So Tom Clare and Libby Locke are married, second marriage for him. But I know them. And they have a law firm, I believe, in suburban DC and Virginia, and that specializes in making people shut up through intimidation. They tried it with me. And in a really brutal, cruel way, I would say, to try and just scare you into shutting up. So that itself, I don't think anyone regards Tom Clare as a good lawyer at all. But certainly, his behavior is designed to intimidate you. So the fact that they hired them at the outset, that's the behavior of someone who just wants to scare you into shutting up.
Mm-hmm. And the timing of when they first sent us a letter was actually the end of November of last year. We missed the letter because they sent it to an inbox that we would have never been checking. It was a very weird inbox, where you would go to return a t-shirt. And because we missed that, and I'm glad I missed it because I probably would have been scared. I think they knew, because that was right when I began speaking with Xavier Poussard. And I was in London at the time, and I had agreed to interview him, but nobody knew I was going to do this interview. So what made them suddenly send this intimidating letter?
And Tom Clare sent it?
Tom Clare sent it.
They'd already retained him.
They had retained him, and he sent a letter. And I think that they were monitoring Xavier Poussard. I think they were monitoring either his communications or monitoring him.
How else would they have known?
That he was flying to London to sit down and do an interview with me, and they sent it just a week before I sat down with him.
Well, keep in mind, the subject of your story controls some of the most competent intel services in the world.
Correct.
As a head of state, there are no rules at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which is enough to make you a little uncomfortable if you think about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they would hire those two lawyers, by the way, his wife, Libby Locke, is Bill Ackman's lawyer, who Ackman uses to make people shut up.
Interesting.
By sending hysterical letters, screechy letters, threatening to destroy you if you keep talking about the client. I mean, it's really thuggish. You may have noticed this is a great country with bad food.
Wow. This make you say,
Let's just go through, but can we just go through, chronologically how this unfolded? So at the core of the story is the allegation that Brigitte Macron is not who she says she is, and that would include her sex, is not what she says it is.
Correct. That she was born a man named Jean-Michel Trogneux. And I'm aware, if you have not watched the series, that sounds crazy, because that was me when I first saw the headline.
Yes, no. I mean...
I was alerted to it by the Daily Mail. I thought it was such a crazy, insane headline, but the Daily Mail had published an article saying that with a video of Emmanuel Macron denying claims his wife was a man. And I just thought, that's really funny. What could possibly be going on in France that the president has to deny a claim that his wife's a man? But something that caught my eye was just, as I was reading this article, they made no effort to debunk it. It was sort of it was that typical CNN, New York Times, so it's so crazy. It's okay, but if it's so crazy, just, post some photos of her. Obviously, she's got 3 kids. There's got to be tons of photos of her raising her children. There's nothing. They had one solitary photo, and when you look at the photo, it was very obvious, and this is before I got into the details, that she looks a lot more like the little boy that's on the left than she does who they were trying to purport was the little girl that was sitting on the family member's lap. And so I got into it kind of very organically. I was like, this is weird. What's going on in France that the president has to make a comment on the situation? And then I found a website where it explained it, and I instantly realized there is something here. You don't have any photos of yourself for 30 years of your life, and the 2 photos that you've given have been given to the public from a woman who has quite literally been charged with forging documents. She's a thug. Mimi Marchand, they had to eventually get rid of her. Forging documents, thuggery, things of that nature, of a criminal nature. She's the only one. Everyone's going to go through her to get any information about your past. This is so strange. It's so kooky that you wouldn't just... The defense of this is just, hey, could you show us any pictures of your living for these 30 years? You had allegedly 3 children. Did you guys take any photos while you were raising them? Maybe when you were in the hospital? No, Tucker. There's nothing there.
So it's an amazing allegation, a stunning allegation, a bewildering allegation. But I think the legal and the moral question is, did you give an opportunity? Did you give the prime minister and his wife an opportunity, the Macrons, the opportunity to respond to the allegation before the series ran? So that's my question.
Weeks to respond.
In what way did you do that? Did you call them? Did you?
Via Tom Clare. It was their lawyer. So they kind of made a mistake. They messaged us first to kind of intimidate us and say, you're working on this thing, or you're talking,
Did they say how they knew you were working on it?
I am not clear, because what was interesting is in that first letter, they included claims of what I said while I was working at the Daily Wire. That was the previous March. So you're responding to something that I said in March. We're now in December. So what triggered you? Like, clearly it had to have been that I had just interviewed Xavier Broussard and they were aware of it. So then they said, okay, send her out a letter to intimidate her. And obviously getting a letter from most people, you get a letter from a sitting president of France, you're going to go, okay, well, I'm just going to be quiet and not say anything more because I don't want to get involved in this. But for me, it just made me even more curious. And so to be sure, I said, well, I'm glad we have a line of communication established because I'm certainly not interested in defaming you. I'm not interested in lying. Obviously, I would do myself a disservice if all of this was complete crap. And it turned out that I had been peddling it. So here are my questions. Very simple, yes or no questions. Did you ever live as Veronique? Who is Jean-Michel Trog? No. Refused to answer. They just instantly got...
So you presented the allegations then, which they, of course, were aware of, the people had made, others, not you, that she's not really who she says she is. Mm-hmm. And you said, can you explain?
Yeah, and honestly, it didn't require much of an explanation. We also asked, can you give us any photos of you living through this 30-year period? I mean, pretty easy stuff. If you're actually
that is really weird. It is weird. It is.
I would have been like, yeah, of course, here I am. Here's me in middle school. Here's me on a cheerleading team. Here's me the first day I held my first son. Here's me. It's such an easy thing to debunk that it requires the suspension of common sense to believe that this is a conspiracy theory, because it's so easy to debunk, and yet they refuse to do it, and they're being extremely petty and going after every single person that speaks about it. Now,
have they ever provided that evidence to anybody?
No, that's the point. They haven't.
To this day.
They would have never had to sue anybody because everyone would have then laughed at them. Like, if someone was working on a story saying that I lived as a man for 30 years, I don't need to lawyer up. I want you to publish that story so that I can then come out and say, this person is a psychopath. Clearly, here is the trove of me growing up with my sisters. Here's my middle school yearbook. To the contrary, even when Xavier Broussard, because he has been worked on this for 10 years and therefore filing paperwork with the government to get pictures, Jean-Michel Trogneau has a military file. He also filed to get Brigitte's school yearbook, where she allegedly has a picture, and he won that case and then took it to Sacre-Cœur, which is Sacred Heart, and they said, we're not releasing it. I don't care if you won the case. We're refusing to release it.
Wow, that is strange.
Something that would be able to dispel this rumor. Even her children, where are your kids in this? If that's my mom and she's so attacked and it's so horrifying that she's got to put, my dad, stepdad on a plane to go speak to the President of the United States, way before then, I would have released pictures of me and my mom. Her kids are all adults. I would have said, here's me and my mom growing up on my first birthday, my second birthday. Please, everyone, leave her alone. They won't do it. It's bonkers to think.
Have the kids spoken in public?
Only one child has ever spoken and called the rumors crazy and upsetting, and that's her youngest daughter, Tefan. And I have a theory about why that is, but again, there's no evidence to supply. Tefan won't go under oath. Tefan won't speak.
That is so weird. But what's the big deal? Okay, that was the lawsuit update. Oh, shit.
Macron decides to file a lawsuit.
Or a settlement.
Paid like an annuity. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I'm going to delete that one. Oh, she loses in... Shit, I'm going to have to make this a part 3, I guess. Shit, I'm going to have to make... Damn, I didn't know I had all these videos. Okay, I'm just going to delete this one. Yeah, this is none of... Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I'd like you to meet somebody.
How do you do?
Benny, I'm a simple Christian. A fist fight here in a little test up. Man, I tell you what, I don't think we'll stay there for that long. In Ephesians, it says that everything that is done in darkness will eventually
Oh, this wig!
testosterone raging Vietnam trip that they took. You can see both hands mauling the face. Brigitte, as we call her.
Oh, this is
I
the
don't
slap.
know exactly. I do know the two of them got into what is effectively a fist fight here in a little testosterone raging Vietnam trip that they
She
took.
slapped the shit out of
Both
him.
hands mauling the face. Quite a hit. Now, even more, Brigitte refuses to take the hand of Emmanuel Macron in a new slight on a new foreign trip. You can see here, Emmanuel Macron says, please come here to my former teacher, who's 30 years older than me.
Right, because she was his
No
teacher.
matter what, you find them guilty of who are, described as independent journalists, say.
I didn't even know Benny Johnson had even said anything about this. Let me see.
Because this is just goofy. You are officially a very goofy man, Brigitte. But I gotta give it to you, you've definitely got...
She said she a very goofy man.
Law, public official.
Oh no, we're gonna delete that. It's already showed that. Okay, let's get out of that. Let's see.
Happy Thursday, everybody. We won. We won. That is what I should tell you right at the top here. Piers
Okay.
Morgan, you owe me something like $150,000 US. I'd like to shout out especially all my haters here right at the top who didn't believe me when I was all like, Brigitte Macron's the man. And instead, they decided to go with the mainstream media, the narrative that was just, Candance is unhinged. Brigitte Macron won for defamation. Well, that's no longer a thing. Because guess what? The journalist that she went after, two of them, they beat Brigitte in court. They have been acquitted in the higher court ruling. I'll tell you all about that. It's just been a bad day, bad week, bad month, bad year for the Macrons, actually. So it's amazing. Plus, I got to tell you a crazy story about another person who was investigating the Macrons and has mysteriously ended up dead. And lastly, Prince Andrew, who has been in hiding since the fallout of the Epstein trial, is now resurfacing because the Epstein files have been mysteriously closed and his people. Well, I will say this, guys. We definitely needed this win, especially after an entire week.
So she won.
Gaslit about Jeffrey Epstein. We needed at least one pervert to not get away with it. And it's happening. It is happening right now in France. I'm very excited about it, and I'm going to tell you what is going on. First, we should put this on rewind, though. Because I have to say, it was a lot. 2024 was a lot for me. Personally, I was just being completely pummeled by the mainstream media. I was the first person in, I guess, Western media, American media, to say, hey, or at least the English-speaking world, to say, hey, Macron, I think, is definitely married to a dude. And then the entire mainstream media rose up, as they often do, not to do their job, not to investigate these claims any further, but to do their real job, which is to defend the government, to defend the state, and to just say that any person who's saying this is unhinged and crazy. And there's just no way that that's true. There's no way that this 40-year-old, quote-unquote, woman who happens to look a lot like a dude in a dress, is given Mrs. Doubtfire over here, and who also happens to have fallen in love with a 14-year-old. She was 40. Oh, there's no way she could be lying about anything, or might just be perverted altogether. Anyways, fresh off of being fired for the Daily Wire, it was Piers Morgan who interviewed me first, and he had me on his show. And look, I like Piers, but I'm going to say he was trying to step on my head while I was already drowning. He just came to deliver that final blow, asking me all sorts of questions, implying that I was anti-Semitic because I was, like, saying what was happening. But that actually wasn't what was at root of the case, as many of you guys know that have been following the series. Anyways, what has happened today is that the judges that were sitting at the Paris Appeal Court on Thursday ruled that Amandine Roy, that is the 53-year-old clairvoyant, and Natasha Ray, and she has been absolutely fantastic. She's a 49-year-old journalist, blogger, and researcher that teamed up and first and foremost, put Xavier Poussard onto this story when he was having trouble even finding basic facts about Brigitte. And she said, yeah, that's because Brigitte was born Jean-Michel Trogneau. And so now the court has ruled that they had every legal right to make those allegations. More specifically, Brigitte brought the case in regards to a 4-hour YouTube video broadcast where the two of these ladies were sitting down, and Brigitte is alleging that there were 18 instances of defamation. Well, the court has ruled that those 18 instances did not constitute defamation, or they were based in good faith. And like I explained throughout the series, they were never attacking, Brigitte was never attacking the claim that she was born a man. She was being super petty and trying to get them on a technicality of defamation for misspeaking. You know, they tried this with me. Oh, you said this photo was recolorized, but it wasn't actually recolorized. And then trying to get someone into the courtroom, and then the judge says, oh, yeah, it wasn't recolorized. And you go, oh, look, we won. It was defamation to suggest that this photo was recolorized when it wasn't. That was the game that they were playing so that they could give the journalists something to tout out as a win. Now they've come back and said, you know what? That's not enough. Okay, that is actually not enough. These women did not defame you. And so their lawyers were cheering outside of court. I can't imagine what it feels like for Natasha Ray and Amadou.
Wow. This is deep. We're not going to. And we're going to have to come back to that. But let me Google this because I'm about to end this. Let me Google what happened to that lawsuit before I end this video because it's more. Candace Owens versus Macron. There's no development or scheduled court date for Candace Owens versus Emmanuel Macron. The ongoing legal battle is an active civil defamation lawsuit filed in the United States by French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte against Candace Owens. The Macron sued Owens over an extended podcast and social media campaign where she promoted and debunked the theory that Macron was born Jean-Michel Trudeau. The Macron's legal team, represented by Clear Lock LLP, has stated they are prepared to present scientific and photographic evidence in court to disprove this conspiracy. Owens' defense argues the lawsuit violates her First Amendment rights in the United States, and she is looking forward to the discovery process. So nothing has happened. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Yep. You know what? I'm going to finish this up tomorrow because this is really interesting. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that like button, please.